Hey everyone, it's Dr. Hodges. Let us introduce a day 2 of Obesity Cares Week, and today is all about the disease of obesity. I've made several videos on this before in the past, and I think now is as good as time another to re-emphasize that. So if you go to the Obesity Cares Week website, you can see a number of different links specific to the disease of obesity. And I think that was one of the first things that we needed to establish to help expand care and coverage for the disease of obesity. And so the NIH has deemed obesity as a disease. I think so often there's this huge weight bias that patients that are overweight, they don't care. They're just lazy. They don't want to do anything. And what I think is important for people to know is that obesity is a multifactorial disease. We do not chastise people that have to go get vascular surgery. And the majority of the time, if you're getting vascular surgery, it's not always, it's probably because you've been smoking, you have the wrong diet, you had the wrong lifestyle. That's the same with diabetes. Your environment plays a huge role. Not the whole role though, but we don't have a huge bias against patients that might need dialysis because now their diabetes is out of control. So that needs to be the approach that we take with our patients that are suffering from the disease of obesity, because what I have really found in my practice is that a lot of people can lose 5, maybe 10 pounds on their own, and just by making some small changes. But if you have more than 30 to 40 pounds to lose, I have certainly found that you might as well have 140 pounds. And why is that? Because it's a disease. It's because all these different processes that govern how your body utilizes glucose, how it utilizes fatty acids, how it stores nutrients, all the signaling pathways that your brain uses during digestion to tell your brain you're hungry or you're full, all of those get messed up once you become overweight and obese. And it's just like this never-ending cycle. And so the more weight that you put on, the more that all these metabolic processes become more and more deranged. And so now once you get to a point where you're like, okay, I need to lose some weight, you're now fighting against biology. So that's one. The second thing is your genes. My brother and I are perfect examples. And I've said this before too. On my mom's side, everybody struggled with their weight. On my dad's side, the women typically did not. My brother and I, growing up, when, you know what, I'm about to come to a busy street. Hang on one second. There, that's better. That's the road whenever I'm walking with my little chihuahua. I have to like hold her in my arms or she just gets all freaked out. Anyway, you'll be able to hear this a little bit better. So my brother and I are perfect examples for the genetics of obesity. When we were growing up, I mean, we were low to middle class. My mom did not buy a lot of extra food. We just really couldn't afford it. So, I mean, she wasn't buying cakes and snacks. We didn't have soda. She just didn't buy any of that stuff. And so my brother and I, we ate the exact same thing. Both of us were active. We would do sports. I think I did cheerleading and softball and t-ball. My brother did football. And yet, my brother has always struggled with his weight. Even from the time when he was like in 1st and 2nd grade, whenever we would go to Sears to go get his school uniforms, yes, that's how old we are, he would always have to get the husky size. Always, because he always struggled with his weight. Now, my brother and I, we ate the same foods. We ate the same quantity of food. And we had essentially the same kind of active lifestyle. So how come he always struggled with his weight and I did not? I will tell you why. There's a little thing called genetics. And you get genes from your mama and your papa. That plays a huge role. in your metabolism. It plays a lot in your metabolic rate. It plays a lot in your glucose metabolism. It's for the same reason why I will have patients that will come to see me and they can be 400 pounds and they do not have high blood pressure, diabetes, or high cholesterol. I.e., that was my brother. Well, he wasn't 400, but my brother ended up having surgery. His BMI was about 45, 46, something like that. He didn't have high blood pressure, diabetes, or high cholesterol. Ironically, on my mom's side, heart disease really runs rampant in our family. He got the gene just for obesity. For other patients that will come to see me, I actually ended up operating on a lady. Her BMI was, golly, 32. And we were doing her surgery because she was a horrible diabetic. So if your BMI is 32, you're not significantly overweight. And if you're in the South, they might even say, oh, why are you having surgery? You don't look overweight. You are, and that's okay. You're still loved. But she was a terrible diabetic. I think she was on like 5 or 6 different medications for her diabetes. That is all driven primarily by her genes. So I think that that's really what I want to hammer home. Hi there. That's what I really want to hammer home to you guys, is that it is not just environment. Everything in our bodies, and you know, with so many different disease processes, we always look, is it a genetic component? Is it environmental? Is it a combination of the two? Or do you just have a genetic predisposition, and then if you're in the wrong environment or right, however you want to put it, you're just kind of off to the races? And more often than not, that seems to be the case. I think the other component to obesity as a disease is it kind of gets back to, if we're looking at the environment that somebody lives in, patients by and far in lower socioeconomic status tend to be overweight and obese. And that has to do with a number of environmental factors that we need to use as a way to advocate to our government to help with that. So we definitely need better education on diet. We definitely need better access to healthy foods. It should not cost more to get a better quality food. So, I mean, I was watching online, I think it was on C-SPAN, and this young lady was with Jillian Andrews, and she was just talking about the difference between organic fruit, and she was also talking about Monsanto and Roundup and all that, and I'm not even going to get into all that, but she made a very valid point that she said, you know, it costs more in America to get better quality food. So if you don't want your fruits and vegetables sprayed with pesticides and God knows what else, or GMOs, or modified, or whatever acronym you want to use, you have to buy organic. And organic is significantly more expensive. And let's be honest, if you're a single parent and you got a couple of kids and you're working, you know, overtime, or maybe you have 2 jobs, you know what you don't have? A lot of extra spare cash so you can spring for the organic tomatoes. And you're usually not even getting the tomatoes. You're getting something that's prepackaged because you have neither the time, nor the energy, nor the bank account to get all these fresh fruits and vegetables. I mean, all of us would, I'm sure at some point, would like to go to a farmer's market and pick out your farm-raised eggs and this, that, and the other. That's great, but I'm a surgeon. I do not have time to go to the farmer's market every week. I just don't, I mean, like, I don't have the time, but we just don't have time for that. So that's where it comes down to, we really need to advocate for these things so that they're much, much more accessible. If you Google food desert, you will see that in lower income communities, they simply don't have access to these things. I mean, like, they don't have access to a grocery store, you know? Woo, I just tripped. So there are a number of different reasons why our environment may make an impact on our weight. It is multifactorial. So we need to just take all of our little biases and put them in our back pocket, okay? because it's not always someone's fault. Obesity is a disease. What we need are the right tools to treat our disease. And we really just need help. We need better education. We need better advocacy. And we need the healthcare community at large to also recognize that obesity is a disease. I cannot tell you how many times my patients will talk with me, and they can even talk about their weight with their primary care doctor. They may even be struggling with their weight, but their primary care doctor will say, well, you just need to eat right and exercise. I'm like, but then they don't give them a plan. However, if they have diabetes or high blood pressure, they have all the stuff, and they'll sign them up with the bariatric dietitian, and, or pardon me, the diabetic dietitian, and they'll give them food stuff and food ideas, and then they'll give them insulin. So they'll help them with the behavioral side and the medication side. They'll do that for high blood pressure because the American Heart Association, all these have done a wonderful job of really educating not just the public, but also healthcare professionals on how to best treat cardiovascular disease, how to best treat diabetes. We need to do a much, much better job of educating people on the disease of obesity so that we can properly treat it. So please spread the word.